Hello lovely learners, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing how to choose your dorm room at the University of Northern Colorado. The reason that I'm bringing this up today is because fast approaching is the Call Dibs campaign for current students, in which you can either claim your same room or a different room for next year. And also the housing application is open for new students who are starting in fall of 2022. You are required to live on campus your first year, and so you hopefully have submitted your housing contract or are going to do it. You have until June 30th, starting in March, you have until June 30th to put yourself into a room. After June 30th, they will use your answers to the housing application to assign you to a room if you haven't picked one. So I'm going to screen record, which is why I'm looking at my computer, and show y'all. We're going to kind of go over the rooms, and we're also going to look at the housing contract itself. So let me get that going. So first things first, we have to get to the housing contract. That's in URSA, so I won't be showing you that because, personal information. But let's look at the housing contract. So in URSA, it's under student, under general. You'll pick, housing contract. Having some trouble getting into it. There we go. All right. So I'm going to blur out the room that I currently live in so you can't tell what I'm doing. But here is the application. We're going to look at this. So you have to say that you got your meningitis vaccine and acknowledge a whole bunch of other stuff that I already have read and agreed to, but you should probably read that. You have to do some stuff. Because mine's already filled out, I'm going to have to blur a lot. Like if it's a new application, it won't look exactly like this, but I can't do anything to fix that. But they're going to ask you your name and, what year you are, your cell phone number, which you should do if you can, because then you will get emergency alerts, which is like how I knew today that classes were canceled because it's icy. Your home address, if you had the meningitis vaccine, your emergency contact, and if you're going to have renter's insurance, which is highly recommended for dorm life. You should always have renter's insurance, my friends. Okay, then we get to this. We get to the next question, which is gender inclusive housing. All but one floor of all the dorm. So there's one floor in one dorm that is like the women's hall, and it's just female identifying students. Everywhere else, the floors are co-ed, but the rooms are not necessarily. So if you say that you only want to be placed with students who share the same biological sex, when you go to pick your room, you will only be able to pick rooms that have that sex in them. So like if you're a new student, if a current student picks a room in February and they identify as female, you will be able to see that room if you're female and pick that room. If a male picks that room will not show up for you when you are searching for a room in the contract. So, or you can say, I would like to live in a gender inclusive space, and that will be more of a mix, and that's a whole different thing. I don't do that, so I don't know how that works. Again, I live in a single, so it doesn't really matter. Then if you know someone who you want to room with, either because you met them before, you're coming to college with a friend from high school, anything like that, you'll put who your roommate choices are. Unless something drastic happens, again, you should be able to pick your room, so you should both just pick the same room. But if they have to place you, it's a little more iffy on if you're going to get that person or not, particularly if they want to live in a different hall or something like that. It'll be interesting. Again, I've never requested a roommate, so I don't know what that process exactly looks like. We also have our residential connection floors. So you could, if you're biology, You could decide to live on the biology floor in North Hall. Criminology and criminal justice is in Turner. Cumbres is in Brown. Honors, Scholars, and Leaders is in Lujan. Montfort College of Business is in North, and pre-nursing is in Harrison Hall. We used to have a musical theater floor, but that ended up just being more stressful for the students, so this year they decided not to do that. There are also non-academic residential connections, including our Queer Living Community in Harrison Hall, Outdoor Pursuits in Harrison Hall, Pet Friendly in Lawrenson, that's on floors 2, 3, and 4. And the Transfer Community is also in Lawrenson, and the Women's Community is in Sabin. So there you go. That is where it's female students only. If you can have a pet. It's like a 50-pound dog or a cat. You have to go through a special process to get that approved, but this is a pet, not an emotional support animal. You can have emotional support animals in other dorms outside of pet housing, but you do still have to live in a specific room within that dorm and go through a long process to get that animal certified and allowed to be on campus. If you are not in pet housing, you may have a 20-gallon fish tank in your dorm room. That's all dorms. So good things to know. Then, next thing that happens is you put in your residence hall choices, kind of in order, and also if you want to be in a single room, you put that as well here, and kind of say where you'd like to live. This is what's always important to me. You'll notice I don't do roommate choices, I don't do residential connections, I care about which hall I'm living in, so I make sure to call that out pretty specifically. Then they'll ask you some other questions. When do you prefer to stay up until? When do you prefer to sleep in till? How much of your personal stuff do you anticipate you might share? You want your room to be organized, messy, clean, anything like that? Do you expect to study in your room? Do you smoke? What kind of music do you listen to? Do you have a preference for room temperature? And are you okay living with an animal? I said no to the animal because I'm allergic, not because I don't love pets, just so you know. And then also if you need ADA accommodations, which is American with Disabilities Act, you need to put that here because we also have to put you in a room that accommodates that if you need that. And that can be worked out with the Disability Resource Center, which is linked there. Then within this contract, you pick your meal plans. That's a whole different conversation that we can have another time, but there's that. If you have any dietary accommodations, and then you sign and date it, saying it's true and you agree. So I'm not going to finish this because I already did it. But once you submitted that and it is your turn to sign up for something, you'll be able to go into a room selection part of the application. Again, I can't see that because it's not time for me to pick one yet. And you can search based on number of people in the room, dorm, building, side of campus. There's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do there. So that was the housing contract. This video is already 8 minutes long, and I know that people don't really watch my videos past that. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a part 2 for next week about each hall. So I'll see you next week. Bye, y'all!